Hello there. Welcome to Sleep and Wonder channel. As you settle in, allow your breathing to slow and let the noise of the day gently fade into the background. Tonight, we'll be exploring forests, vast living systems that cover nearly a third of the land on Earth and shelter most of the planet's terrestrial biodiversity. From dense tropical rainforests to cool, temperate woodlands, forests shape climates, store water, recycle air, and quietly support life far beyond their borders. Beneath their canopies, countless relationships unfold. Trees exchange nutrients through hidden root networks. Leaves capture sunlight and turn it into energy. Moist air rises, cools, and returns as rain, a slow, steady rhythm repeated day after day, year after year. As we move through this journey, you may notice your thoughts beginning to settle, your breath deepening, your body responding to the same calm patterns that forests have followed for millions of years. If you enjoy these quiet journeys, you're gently invited to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, simply breathe in and breathe out. Let your body soften. Let your thoughts slow and grow lighter as we step quietly into the living, breathing world of forests. Let's begin. A forest does not function like a machine. It does not accelerate when pressured, nor does it organize itself around visible goals. Its operation is closer to a continuous breath, a cycle that expands and contracts, sustained by ancient, silent relationships deeply attuned to time. Upon entering a mature forest, the body perceives something even before the mind can name it. The light becomes softer. The air feels denser, heavy with moisture. Sounds lose sharpness and spread out in layers, leaves brushing against one another, distant insects, the occasional crack of a branch yielding to its own weight. Nothing happens abruptly. Everything moves with economy. This environment is the result of a complex ecological system, organized without central planning, in which each element occupies a role defined by the availability of energy, water, and space. At the foundation of everything is sunlight. The energy that arrives from the sun does not reach the forest evenly. The canopies of the tallest trees intercept much of this light, creating a gradient that weakens as it descends. This gradient defines the forest's vertical stratification, a layered arrangement that includes the upper canopy, the understory, and the forest floor. In the canopy, leaves are thick, resilient to wind and direct radiation. There, photosynthesis occurs at a steady pace, converting light into living matter. Below, shade-adapted plants capture what remains, using broader leaves, delicate surfaces, and slow growth. None compete directly for the midday sun. Each accepts the amount of light that belongs to it. The forest does not waste energy trying to be something it is not. On the ground, where light arrives in fragments, the soil remains cool. The surface is covered with fallen leaves, pieces of bark, empty seeds, and decomposing branches. This organic layer, the leaf litter, functions as a thermal and nutritional cushion. It protects the soil from erosion, retains moisture, and feeds a vast, invisible community. Beneath this layer, fungi spread through nearly imperceptible filaments. Bacteria work in silence, breaking complex molecules into simpler forms. Small arthropods turn the material over, opening microscopic passages through which air and water circulate. Nothing decays in vain. Decomposition is not an end, but a return. What was once trunk, leaf, or fruit returns to the soil as available minerals. Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, technical names for elements that once again sustain growth. The cycle closes without haste. The roots of trees descend into this dark environment, not only in search of support, but of dialogue. Many of them associate with fungi in a relationship called mycorrhiza. Through these connections, nutrients circulate among different plants. A young tree may receive assistance. A mature tree may redistribute excess. There is no conscious exchange, but there is functional balance. It is a network without a center, without rigid hierarchy, sustained by silent cooperation. Water also follows its own paths. Part of the rain is intercepted by leaves and evaporates before reaching the soil. Part flows slowly down tree trunks. Another part infiltrates the ground, replenishing underground reservoirs. This pathway reduces the speed of water, preventing floods and abrupt losses. The forest retains, filters, and returns. The air that moves through this environment undergoes similar changes. Leaf transpiration releases vapor, increasing local humidity and regulating temperature. Wind loses strength when it encounters natural obstacles. Within the forest, extremes rarely manifest. The climate softens. None of this happens by chance. Every detail results from adaptations accumulated over thousands of years. Species that failed to adjust disappeared. Those that remained learned to coexist, occupying specific niches and avoiding unnecessary overlap. When a tree falls, the system is not interrupted. A clearing forms. Light reaches the soil more intensely. Dormant seeds respond. Growth accelerates temporarily until the shade closes again. The forest accepts change as part of the process. It does not attempt to maintain a fixed form. This continuous functioning creates stability without rigidity. The forest does not seek maximum efficiency, but resilience, the ability to absorb impacts, reorganize, and continue. That is why ancient forests are not silent due to a lack of life, but because of an excess of balance. Each sound finds its space, each movement fits. To observe a forest in operation is to observe a system that does not require constant attention to exist. It operates through repetition, through natural rhythms, through minimal adjustments. A kind of order that does not need to be imposed. Perhaps this is why, after spending enough time in this environment, the human mind slows down. The body recognizes an older, less fragmented pattern. Something there does not demand urgency. The forest does not rush. It continues. A forest is not just a collection of trees. It is an integrated living system where every form of life, visible or microscopic, participates in a larger arrangement shaped by millions of years of coexistence. When observed from a distance, a forest may appear homogeneous, a continuous green mass. But as one moves closer, this apparent unity dissolves into a silent multiplicity of relationships. Nothing exists in isolation. Every organism depends on others to exist, even when that dependence is not evident. This is the fundamental principle of an ecosystem. In ecological terms, an ecosystem is the interaction between living organisms and non-living elements, such as soil, water, air, light, and temperature. In the forest, this interaction occurs in a deep, continuous, and highly interdependent way. Trees, for example, are not merely vertical structures that produce shade. They function as architects of the environment. They define the microclimate, control the entry of light, modulate wind circulation, and directly influence the humidity of the air and soil. By doing so, they create conditions that allow countless other species to exist. The forest builds the very space in which it lives. In the understory, smaller plants grow under this protection. Mosses anchor themselves to damp surfaces. Ferns unfurl delicate leaves in search of filtered light. Each occupies a specific range of luminosity and humidity, avoiding direct competition. Space is shared, not contested. Insects move through this environment along nearly invisible paths. Some feed on leaves, others on nectar, and still others on decomposing matter. As they move, they carry pollen, spores, and seeds. Without intention, they connect distant parts of the forest in a constant flow of energy. The forest does not need paths. It creates living corridors. Larger animals follow predictable routes. Mammals, birds, and reptiles use the forest as shelter, a source of food, and a place for reproduction. Many depend directly on plant diversity. Others act as population regulators, maintaining balance among species. Predators, for example, are not agents of disruption but of stability. By controlling populations, they prevent the excessive consumption of resources. Their absence alters the entire system. An overabundance of a single group can trigger cascading effects, impacting plants, soil, and even waterways. Everything is connected by invisible threads. Even organisms that are rarely noticed perform essential functions. Decomposer fungi recycle organic matter. Soil bacteria transform nutrients into assimilable forms. Aquatic microorganisms maintain water quality in streams and springs. These processes occur continuously, without pauses, without announcement. The ecosystem does not sleep, but it does not hurry either. The forest functions as a system of slow exchanges. Energy enters through sunlight, circulates through organisms, and returns to the environment. Nothing remains fixed. Everything flows in cycles: growth, consumption, decomposition, regeneration. This constant flow creates a sense of stability, but it is a dynamic stability. The forest is always changing, even if these changes occur on timescales long enough to seem imperceptible. A tree that today dominates the canopy was once a silent seed in the soil. A fallen trunk, covered in lichens, becomes support for new life. What appears to be an end is only a transition. In this sense, the forest teaches a different form of continuity. Nothing needs to last forever for the system to endure. Another fundamental aspect of the forest ecosystem is its capacity for self-regulation. When natural disturbances occur, such as tree falls, low-intensity fires, or periods of drought. The system responds by adjusting its own processes. Adapted species assume temporary roles. Others retreat. There is no immediate collapse. There is reorganization. This balance emerges from diversity. The greater the variety of species, the greater the ecosystem's capacity to adapt. Each organism carries different solutions to environmental challenges. Together, these solutions form an ecological safety net. For this reason, biodiverse forests are more resilient. They do not depend on a single element to function. If one fails, another takes its place. While walking through a forest, the human body perceives this integration without needing to understand it intellectually. The regularity of sounds, the absence of abrupt stimuli, and the predictability of natural rhythms create a sense of coherence. The system functions without demanding constant attention. The mind, accustomed to the excess of stimuli in the modern world, encounters there an older pattern, a pattern in which each thing occupies its place without visible effort. Perhaps this is why forests are often associated with the idea of balance, not because they are immobile, but because they change together. Each part responds to the whole. The forest, as an ecosystem, is not a sum of individuals. It is a collective organism without a defined form, sustained by relationships. And as long as these relationships remain intact, the system continues, breathing slowly, adjusting in silence, offering shelter even when not asked. Forests do not merely occupy space on the Earth's surface. They actively participate in the functioning of the planet as a whole, influencing processes that extend far beyond their visible boundaries. Even those who have never set foot in a forest are in some way touched by its presence. One of the most well-known, and also one of the most profound, functions of forests is their relationship with the air we breathe. Through photosynthesis, plants capture carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and release oxygen. This process occurs continuously, silently, without interruption. But the role of forests goes beyond the simple exchange of gases. They function as major regulators of climate, helping to keep the planet's temperature within stable limits. Tree canopies absorb part of the solar energy, reducing excessive surface heating. The shade they create is not merely local. It influences air currents, humidity, and thermal patterns across entire regions. Through transpiration, trees release water vapor into the atmosphere. This process, known as evapotranspiration, helps cool the environment and contributes to cloud formation. On a large scale, this phenomenon directly participates in rainfall cycles. In this sense, the forest does not merely receive water, it helps create it. In regions with extensive forest cover, this cycle reinforces itself. The moisture released by trees increases the likelihood of new precipitation, which in turn sustains the forest itself. This mechanism keeps entire landscapes fertile over time. Without forests, the air tends to become drier, temperatures more extreme, and natural cycles fall out of balance. Another essential role of forests lies in the soil. Tree roots stabilize the land, preventing erosion caused by heavy rains or strong winds. The layer of leaves, branches, and organic matter covering the ground acts as a natural cushion, absorbing impact and retaining moisture. Over time, this protected soil becomes more fertile. Nutrients are continuously recycled, creating an environment capable of sustaining plant life for long periods. Without this system, soil becomes impoverished, compacted, and loses its ability to regenerate. The forest cares for the ground it stands on. Forests also play a quiet yet decisive role in water regulation. They function as natural filters. When rain falls over forested areas, water infiltrates slowly into the soil, replenishing groundwater and springs. Rivers that originate in forest regions tend to have more stable flows and cleaner water. Without this cover, water runs quickly over the surface, carrying sediments, pollutants, and nutrients away. The result is more frequent flooding and unstable waterways. In this hydrological balance, the forest acts as a patient moderator. It does not rush, it distributes. In addition, forests are reservoirs of biodiversity. They shelter most of the known terrestrial species, many of which have yet to be fully studied. Each of these species represents a unique solution to environmental challenges: resistance to pests, adaptation to extreme climates, energy efficiency. This diversity is not merely aesthetic or scientific. It sustains food chains, biogeochemical cycles, and interactions that keep the Earth system functional. When a forest is lost, it is not only trees that disappear. Relationships that took thousands of years to form are lost. Forests also store large amounts of carbon in their biomass: trunks, leaves, roots, and soil. By keeping this carbon out of the atmosphere, they help balance the planet's natural greenhouse effect. When forests are degraded, this carbon returns to the air, intensifying climate change. In this sense, the forest acts as a living archive of Earth's climate, recording in its plant tissues the history of environmental conditions over time. There is also a less measurable, but no less important aspect: the relationship between forests and human well-being. Numerous studies show that forest environments contribute to reduced stress, anxiety, and mental fatigue. The regularity of natural sounds, the absence of intense artificial stimuli, and the presence of organic patterns help the nervous system slow down. Even from a distance, the mere existence of forests influences human quality of life. They shape cultural landscapes, inspire mythologies, sustain local economies, and provide essential resources: food, fibers, medicines. Many compounds used in modern medicine originated from forest plants. Even today, plant species continue to be a source of research for various treatments. The forest holds a chemical knowledge accumulated over millions of years of evolution, a knowledge that does not repeat itself. When the planet is viewed as an integrated system, it becomes clear that forests are not optional elements. They are support structures. Without them, atmospheric, hydrological, and biological systems become more unstable. The forest does not impose control, it offers balance. And perhaps this is its greatest importance. On a dynamic planet subject to constant variation, forests function as points of anchoring. They absorb excesses, cushion impacts, and keep processes within safe limits. As they grow slowly, season after season, they continue performing essential functions without drawing attention. They do not compete for space. They do not demand recognition. They simply remain, sustaining the planet in a discreet, patient, and continuous way. Although the word forest evokes a specific image for many people, the reality is broader and more varied. Forests take on different forms according to climate, latitude, altitude, and the natural history of each region of the planet. Each type of forest is a slow and precise response to the conditions of the place where it exists. In regions close to the equator, where sunlight is constant throughout the year and rainfall is frequent, tropical rainforests develop. In these environments, temperatures vary little between seasons and humidity remains high. Vegetation grows in multiple layers. Tall trees form a closed canopy, beneath which intermediate levels of shrubs, vines, and shade-adapted plants emerge. On the forest floor, light is scarce, but life is intense. Decomposition occurs rapidly, recycling nutrients at a continuous pace. Despite the visible lushness, the soil of these forests is often relatively poor. The secret of abundance lies not in the soil, but in the constant circulation of organic matter. Everything that falls is reused almost immediately. These forests function as systems of high biological efficiency, where little accumulates and almost everything circulates. As we move away from the equator, tropical dry forests appear, adapted to clearly defined seasons of rainfall and drought. In these forests, many trees shed their leaves during drier periods, reducing water loss. The environment appears more open, allowing greater amounts of light to reach the ground at certain times of the year. This cycle of abundance and pause creates landscapes that visibly transform with the seasons, alternating between tones of intense green and drier, earthier palettes. In temperate climates, where seasons are more pronounced, temperate deciduous forests prevail. In these forests, trees such as oaks, maples, and beeches adjust their cycles to the annual rhythm of the climate. In autumn, leaves change color and fall, forming a thick layer on the ground. During winter, trees enter dormancy, conserving energy. In spring, the cycle begins again. This alternation creates a forest that breathes in broad cycles, following time with almost ritual precision. Still within temperate climates, but in colder or mountainous regions, coniferous forests emerge, also called boreal forests or taiga, when very extensive. Trees such as pines, firs, and cedars dominate the landscape. Their needle-shaped leaves reduce water loss and prevent excessive snow accumulation. These forests endure long, harsh winters with slow and quiet growth. The soil is often acidic and covered with mosses and lichens, creating an environment of muffled sounds and diffused light. Time seems to slow in these places, matching the patient growth of the trees. Farther north, near polar regions, forests gradually disappear, giving way to tundra. The transition is gentle, marked by progressively smaller trees, until permanently frozen soil prevents the growth of deep roots. In mountainous regions, regardless of latitude, montane forests appear. As elevation increases, temperatures drop and vegetation adapts. Trees become shorter, trunks more robust, leaves thicker. These forests function as transitional zones between ecosystems, often sheltering unique species adapted to specific conditions of cold, wind, and solar radiation. There are also forests shaped primarily by the presence of water, such as flooded forests, mangroves, and floodplain forests. In these environments, roots adapt to waterlogged soils that are low in oxygen. Mangroves, for example, grow in coastal regions where fresh water from rivers meets the salt water of the sea. Their aerial roots help stabilize the soil, protect the coastline, and provide shelter for countless species. These forests live in constant motion, following tides, floods, and ebbs, adjusting without resistance to the flow of water. There are also forests adapted to more extreme conditions, such as Mediterranean forests, subject to hot, dry summers and milder winters. In these regions, plants have developed tough, waxy, or aromatic leaves capable of reducing water loss and tolerating occasional natural fires. Each adaptation tells a climatic story. Climate does not merely shape forests, it is in part shaped by them. Extensive forests influence atmospheric circulation, cloud formation, and rainfall distribution on regional and continental scales. In some regions, large forest masses contribute to the creation of so-called flying rivers, invisible currents of water vapor that travel through the atmosphere, transporting moisture over long distances. Thus, a forest can influence rainfall that falls thousands of kilometers from where it grows. When observing the different types of forests, it becomes clear that there is no single model. Each forest is a specific response to the place where it emerged. None is generic, none is a repetition. Some grow slowly over centuries, others renew themselves in rapid cycles. Some accumulate biomass, others recycle almost everything immediately. Some are dense and closed, others open and luminous. All, however, share a common principle: patient adaptation. Forests do not force the environment to adapt to them. They shape themselves to the environment, leaf by leaf, generation after generation. Perhaps this is why mentally walking through different forests, imagining their sounds, temperatures, and scents, has such a calming effect. The brain recognizes in these systems a logic that does not demand haste. Each forest teaches in its own way that stability does not come from rigidity, but from the ability to respond gently to the conditions of time. And as the planet turns, tilting toward the sun and away from it throughout the year, these forests remain there, silent, adapted, sustaining their own rhythms. Some forests seem to contain more life than others, not only in quantity, but in variety, in layers, in simultaneous stories unfolding within the same space. These are high biodiversity forests. In them, diversity is not merely a number, it is a visible, perceptible, almost tangible characteristic. Trees of different heights, leaves of varied shapes, insects, birds, fungi, and microorganisms coexist within a complex yet quietly organized network. In a highly biodiverse forest, a single species rarely dominates the environment entirely. Instead, many species share the space, each occupying a specific niche, performing distinct but interdependent functions. This variety creates resilience. When one organism faces difficulty, others can temporarily take on its role. The system does not collapse easily. It adjusts. Biodiversity functions as an invisible reserve of possibilities. In tropical rainforests, for example, it is common to find hundreds of tree species within a relatively small area. Some grow quickly, others take decades to reach maturity. Some produce large fruits, others produce light seeds that travel with the wind. Each strategy is a response to specific environmental pressures accumulated over time. This plant diversity supports an even greater diversity of animals. Insects specialized in a single plant, birds that feed on specific fruits, mammals that disperse seeds as they move slowly through the environment. Nothing there is redundant. Everything has a function, even if discrete. In high biodiversity forests, the soil itself is often a universe of its own. Microscopic life is intense. Bacteria, fungi, and small invertebrates participate in delicate chemical cycles, transforming organic matter into available nutrients. These processes occur constantly, without interruption. There are no long periods of inactivity. The system remains in continuous operation, like an organism that never fully sleeps, only changes rhythm. But there is another type of forest that carries a different, equally profound value. Ancient forests, also known as primary forests or mature forests. These forests are defined not only by diversity, but by time. They are environments that have remained relatively unchanged for centuries, sometimes millennia. In them, ancient trees coexist with younger individuals, fallen trunks remain on the ground for decades, and the process of decomposition unfolds slowly, layer by layer. Nothing is removed in haste. Nothing is artificially reorganized. In ancient forests, growth is slow. Trees take many years to reach great size. Their trunks accumulate rings that record climatic variations, periods of drought, colder or wetter years. Each tree becomes a living archive. The structure of these forests is often more complex than that of younger forests. There are natural clearings, dense areas, decomposing trunks, overlapping canopies. This heterogeneity creates diverse microenvironments, allowing highly specialized species to find ideal conditions for survival. Many organisms depend exclusively on ancient forests. Certain fungi, insects, and birds can only complete their life cycles in environments where time has not been interrupted. When an ancient forest is lost, it is not merely a collection of trees that disappears. A continuous process is lost, one that cannot be quickly rebuilt. While young forests may grow in a few decades, an ancient forest takes centuries to recover its full complexity. These forests possess a particular atmosphere. The air is often more humid, sounds more muted, light more filtered. The environment conveys stability. The body perceives this even without rational understanding. It is common for people to report a sense of temporal depth when walking through ancient forests, as if the place existed outside the usual rhythm of the modern world. This effect is not merely psychological. Stable environments with predictable natural stimuli help the nervous system enter states of deep relaxation. Ancient forests also store large amounts of carbon, both in their biomass and in the soil. Because they are not frequently disturbed, they accumulate organic matter over long periods, contributing to global climate regulation. High biodiversity forests, in turn, offer ecological flexibility. They are better able to respond to environmental changes, pests or climatic variations, precisely because they do not depend on a few key species. These two types of forests, highly biodiverse and ancient, are not opposites. They often overlap. Some of the most biodiverse forests on the planet are also ancient forests. What they share is an essential characteristic: continuity. Nothing there happens abruptly. Changes are gradual, almost imperceptible. Species emerge, adapt, disappear, while the system as a whole remains functional. This model of existence contrasts sharply with the accelerated logic of contemporary human life. Perhaps this is why thinking about these forests, even from a distance, has a calming effect. They represent a way of existing that does not require haste, constant competition, or unlimited growth. Instead, they offer a silent lesson that stability can arise from diversity, and strength can emerge from patience. High biodiversity forests show how variety sustains balance. Ancient forests show how time builds depth. Together, they form some of the most complex, efficient, and beautiful systems that exist on Earth. And even without speaking, they continue teaching, generation after generation, that life finds ways to thrive when it is given enough time to organize itself. Some forests do more than grow upon the land. They extend into the air. Although it cannot be seen with the naked eye, above the treetops there is a constant, slow and organized movement. An invisible flow that connects leaves, clouds, and entire regions of the planet. These are the forests that create rain. During the day, as sunlight warms the leaves, trees release small amounts of water vapor through microscopic pores called stomata. This process, known as evapotranspiration, occurs leaf by leaf, tree by tree, forest by forest. Individually, each release is minimal, but together they form something vast. Across large forested areas, billions of leaves continuously release vapor, creating masses of humid air that slowly rise through the atmosphere. This vapor cools, condenses, and participates in cloud formation. The forest, therefore, does not merely respond to rain. It actively participates in its creation. In some regions of the planet, this process is so intense that it generates stable atmospheric currents of moisture, known as aerial rivers or flying rivers. These currents transport water vapor for hundreds or even thousands of kilometers, influencing rainfall far beyond the boundaries of the original forest. It rains in a distant place because somewhere else on the planet, a forest continues to breathe. This mechanism does not depend on machines or external control. It emerges from the calm repetition of a simple gesture, leaves releasing water throughout the day. In addition to vapor, forests also release microscopic particles into the atmosphere, such as volatile organic compounds and biological fragments. These particles help form condensation nuclei, tiny points where water vapor gathers to form raindrops. The air above a mature forest is often more favorable to cloud formation than the air above deforested areas. The forest prepares the sky. These processes reveal an important characteristic. Forests do not function in isolation. They are connected to large atmospheric systems, influencing regional and even continental climates. When extensive forest areas are removed, these invisible flows weaken. The air becomes drier, rainfall more irregular, and climatic balance shifts gradually but persistently. But the forest's invisible relationships are not limited to the atmosphere. Below the ground, complex networks of roots and fungi connect different plants in systems of silent exchange. These networks, often called mycorrhizal networks, allow the circulation of nutrients, water, and chemical signals between trees. A young tree may receive nutrients from an older one. A stressed plant may emit signals that alert others nearby. There is no conscious intention, only biological response. The forest shares. These underground connections create a cooperative environment, where the survival of one individual is linked to the stability of the whole. The soil becomes not just physical support, but a medium of communication. Above ground, equally discrete relationships occur between plants and animals. Pollinators follow predictable routes, seed dispersers maintain movement patterns, predators regulate populations without eliminating excess. Each interaction seems small. Together, they keep the system functioning. Even the sounds of the forest are part of these invisible relationships. Birdsong, insect movement, the distant rustle of wind through leaves create a continuous soundscape without abrupt peaks. This type of acoustic environment is known to induce states of relaxation in the human brain. The forest, without intention, creates a sound space that favors calm. Light also participates in this system of subtle relationships. As it passes through the canopy, it fragments, creating irregular patterns of shade and brightness. This type of visual stimulus is naturally comfortable for the eyes and the nervous system, unlike artificial and uniform surfaces. Nothing is excessively symmetrical. Nothing is abrupt. Even time itself seems to behave differently inside a forest. Processes are slow, repetitive, predictable. The growth of a tree, the decomposition of a fallen trunk, the formation of soil, everything unfolds on scales that escape human urgency. This slowness creates stability. Forests that create rain are, at the same time, forests that create continuity. They keep cycles active over decades, centuries, sometimes millennia. Even when we do not notice them, even when we are far away, these systems continue to function. Vapor rises, clouds form, rain falls, roots absorb, leaves release once again. A cycle that does not require constant attention, only existence. Thinking about these invisible relationships can provoke a curious sensation, that the planet functions more like an organism than a machine. An organism in which distant parts gently influence one another, without central command, without haste. The forest does not control the climate, it participates in it. Perhaps this is why imagining vast forests in operation has such a calming effect. They represent a kind of order that does not need to be imposed, only maintained. While the human world accelerates, competes, and fragments, forests continue to carry out their essential processes in silence. They create rain without announcement. They connect organisms without spectacle. They sustain cycles without demanding recognition. And even when we do not sleep beneath their canopies, we still breathe the air they helped shape. We still depend on the rain they helped form. Forests remain there, invisibly present, sustaining relationships that do not ask for attention, only time. When walking through a forest, the gaze naturally rises. The canopy draws attention. The height of the trees, the filtered light, the open space between trunks. But what sustains all of this almost always remains outside the field of view. Beneath every step, an entire world is at work. The forest floor is not merely the ground on which trees grow. It is a living, deep, silent system, responsible for much of the stability and continuity of the forest ecosystem. Everything that happens above the surface depends on what occurs below it. At first glance, forest soil seems simple, a dark layer covered with leaves, branches, and fragments of wood. But this surface, known as leaf litter, is only the beginning of a much broader process. Leaves that fall do not end their function. They begin a transition. Upon reaching the ground, this organic material starts to be slowly transformed. Fungi settle first, penetrating plant fibers. Bacteria follow, breaking complex compounds into simpler elements. Small invertebrates, such as beetles, mites, and earthworms, fragment, mix, and carry this material into deeper layers. Nothing happens quickly. Nothing is wasted. This continuous process of decomposition creates humus, a dark, nutrient-rich substance capable of retaining water and nutrients. Humus functions as a kind of chemical memory of the forest, storing what once was life and gradually returning these resources to the system. The soil thus becomes a stable reservoir. It absorbs excess, releases with care, and sustains growth without demanding haste. Below the organic layer, tree roots spread at different depths. Some remain close to the surface, absorbing newly released nutrients. Others descend deeper, seeking water and structural stability. This network of roots anchors the soil, prevents erosion, and creates channels through which water and air circulate. But roots are not alone. Associated with them live extensive networks of microscopic fungi, known as mycorrhizae. These fungi connect to roots and extend far beyond the plant's direct reach, greatly expanding their capacity to absorb nutrients. In return, they receive sugars produced by trees through photosynthesis. It is an ancient relationship, established hundreds of millions of years ago, without spectacle, without conflict. Through these underground networks, the soil becomes a space of continuous exchange. Nutrients circulate. Water is redistributed. Chemical signals are transmitted. One tree can influence another without visible contact. The soil ceases to be merely support and becomes a medium of communication. This subterranean world operates on slow timescales. Significant changes take years, decades, sometimes centuries. The structure of the soil in an ancient forest reflects long periods of stability, gradual accumulation, and continuous adaptation. That is why mature forests possess deeply structured soils, capable of supporting large trees for generations. The texture of forest soil also influences sound and movement within the environment. Soft surfaces absorb noise. Footsteps become gentle. The impact of rain is cushioned. Water infiltrates slowly, feeding underground aquifers and springs. The forest does not allow water to rush. This gradual infiltration reduces flooding, keeps rivers stable, and preserves water quality. The soil acts as a filter, retaining particles and compounds before they reach larger waterways. Even during periods of intense rainfall, the forest responds with balance. The soil absorbs, distributes, returns. In forests where the soil remains intact, life finds stability even in the face of climatic variation. In areas where soil is compacted or removed, the system loses its foundation. Trees become vulnerable. Regeneration slows. The cycle is interrupted. Nothing reveals the health of a forest more clearly than the condition of its soil. It is there that seeds rest for long periods, waiting for the right conditions to germinate. Some remain viable for years, protected by moisture and stable temperatures. When a clearing opens and light increases, the soil responds. Growth resumes. This underground seed bank ensures continuity. Even after disturbances, the forest finds ways to recompose itself. The soil also shelters an immense diversity of organisms that are rarely perceived. Millions of bacteria in a single gram of earth. Fungi that connect distant trees. Invertebrates that maintain the circulation of matter. These beings do not compete for attention. They work in silence. Over time, forest soil accumulates layers, histories, interrupted and resumed processes. Each centimeter reflects past interactions, climatic variations, subtle changes in vegetation. It is a continuous record of the life above. Perhaps that is why walking over the soil of an ancient forest produces a particular sensation. The ground yields slightly underfoot. The air feels more stable. The environment conveys security. The body recognizes this stability before the mind fully understands it. In a world accustomed to hard, artificial, fast surfaces, forest soil offers a different experience. A foundation that absorbs impact, slows movement, and supports without rigidity. Nothing there demands constant attention. Nothing calls for urgency. The life that goes unseen is often the life that sustains the most. And while the canopy continues to grow toward the light, it is the soil, silent and patient, that holds everything upright, connecting past, present, and future within a single dark, fertile, living space. Trees are, above all, stable presences. They do not move in search of shelter. They do not avoid the wind. They do not withdraw from the cold. They remain where they germinated, slowly adjusting to the conditions around them. This permanence turns each tree into a living record of the place where it exists. Unlike short-lived organisms, trees grow at a pace that surpasses human generations. Many endure for decades, centuries, sometimes millennia. In doing so, they accumulate not only mass but information. Each layer of growth holds traces of environment, climate, and time. A tree does not forget easily. Growth begins discreetly. A seed finds a suitable point in the soil, absorbs water, breaks its owner bulker, and sends a thin root toward the darker layers of the earth. At the same time, a delicate shoot reaches upward in search of light. This dual movement, downward and upward, establishes the foundation of the entire future structure. As the tree grows, the trunk slowly thickens. With each annual cycle, new layers of wood are added around the center. These layers form the growth rings, visible when a trunk is cut or when a tree falls naturally. Each ring corresponds to a specific period. Wetter years tend to produce wider rings. Drier years, narrower ones. Cold, heat, abundance, or scarcity leave subtle yet permanent marks. Thus the trunk becomes an archive, a silent record of the conditions that shaped that life. This accumulation of layers creates resilience. Ancient trees have dense trunks, capable of withstanding strong winds, temperature variations, and the weight of their own canopies. Wood is not merely structure, it is compressed memory. The canopy, in turn, represents the tree's direct interface with the environment. It is there that light is captured, air is filtered, and constant exchange with the atmosphere takes place. The shape of the canopy reflects adaptations to the local climate. In windy regions, more compact crowns. In areas of high light availability, broader branching. Leaves periodically renewed are sensitive surfaces. They respond to light intensity, air humidity, and temperature. Some fall annually, marking well-defined cycles. Others persist for several years, ensuring continuity in more stable environments. The tree adjusts its form to time, not the other way around. Below the surface, roots extend in patterns as complex as the branches above. They not only physically support the tree, but also establish connections with the soil and with other organisms. The depth and spread of roots vary according to soil type, water availability, and the presence of other plants. In dense forests, roots tend to spread laterally, sharing space with neighbors. In drier environments, some descend deeply in search of distant water. Each strategy reflects a specific environmental history. Trees do not merely compete, they adjust. Through mycorrhizal networks, trees exchange resources and chemical information. A tree under water stress may alter its metabolic activity. Surrounding trees respond in subtle ways. This is not intention, but biological sensitivity. This capacity for slow response creates a kind of distributed intelligence. Trees do not plan, but they record. They do not anticipate, but adapt based on what has already occurred. That is why ancient forests convey a sense of deep stability. The trees there are not young. They have already faced droughts, storms, temperature fluctuations. They remained, they adjusted, they continued. Each trunk carries a biography. Some trees develop natural cavities over time. Branches fall, wounds heal, spaces form. These hollows become shelter for birds, small mammals, and insects. The tree comes to sustain other lives, not only through leaves and fruits, but through its very structure. Thus, An ancient tree is not merely an individual. It is a micro-ecosystem. The longevity of trees also influences the rhythm of the forest as a whole. In environments where trees live for many centuries, changes happen slowly. The landscape remains recognizable over long periods. The system does not need to reorganize itself frequently. This kind of stability creates predictability. Sounds repeat, paths remain. The environment conveys continuity. For the human body, this predictability has a direct effect. Environments with stable patterns and consistent natural stimuli help reduce excessive nervous system activity. The mind recognizes a space where there is no constant urgency. Perhaps that is why ancient trees evoke a particular kind of silence, not the absence of sound, but the absence of haste. Over time, some trees become physical references in the environment. They serve as natural landmarks, points of orientation, fixed elements in a landscape that would otherwise change slowly around them. They remain while generations of other organisms arise and disappear. This permanence creates a different relationship with time, a time not measured in hours but in broad cycles. Trees also influence the local climate throughout their lives. Mature canopies provide constant shade, regulate humidity, and stabilize temperature. The continuous presence of these living structures modifies the environment cumulatively. Each season adds something. Nothing is removed abruptly. Even when an ancient tree falls, its influence does not vanish. The decomposing trunk feeds the soil for decades. It serves as shelter, support, and a source of nutrients. The memory of the tree continues to act within the system. This is the recurring pattern of forests. Nothing ends definitively. By observing trees as living structures of long memory, it becomes evident that they do not exist only in the present. They carry the past and shape the future. Their forms, tissues, and rhythms reflect histories that cannot be accelerated. In a world that values speed, trees offer another reference. They grow without haste, record time in layers, and remain even as everything around them changes. And perhaps that is why, when standing near ancient trees, the body slows down spontaneously. Something in them communicates that time can be lived in another way. Trees do not rush, they remember. When the sun withdraws from the horizon and the light begins to fade, the forest does not fall asleep. It changes state. The transition unfolds gradually. Light intensity diminishes slowly. Shadows lengthen, and the contrast between light and dark softens. The canopy, which during the day filters sunlight, begins to retain the last tones of dusk. The forest floor darkens first. The upper crowns remain illuminated for a few moments longer. This brief interval marks the passage between two worlds. As night settles in, the temperature begins to drop. The air becomes denser, more humid. Evaporation decreases, and the scents of the forest grow more perceptible. Wood, soil, damp leaves. Aromas that remained subtle during the day slowly emerge. The rhythm of the ecosystem reorganizes itself. Species that dominated the environment during daylight reduce their activity. Others, adapted to darkness, begin to move. The nocturnal forest is not silent, it is different. Sounds do not cease, they transform. Nocturnal insects begin their cycles. Crickets, cicadas, and other organisms produce repetitive, almost continuous sound patterns. These sounds are not random. They follow stable rhythms, creating a predictable acoustic landscape without abrupt peaks. For the human nervous system, this type of sound environment tends to be deeply calming. Nocturnal mammals emerge from their shelters. Some move with light, almost imperceptible steps. Others remain still, attentive to the surrounding sounds. Vision, less effective at night, is replaced by heightened senses, hearing, smell, the perception of vibrations. The forest at night favors listening. Moonlight, when present, does not illuminate like the sun. It sketches soft forms, creates subtle volumes, highlights contours without revealing excessive detail. Branches become lines. Trunks turn into silhouettes. Space is visually simplified. This reduction in visual stimuli allows the mind to slow down. Trees, which during the day engage intensely in photosynthesis, reduce their metabolic activity at night. Leaf stomata partially close, decreasing water loss. Energy consumption adjusts. Growth, when it occurs, is minimal. The tree enters a state of economy. Even so, internal processes continue. Water is redistributed through tissues. Nutrients circulate slowly. The trunk remains in stable tension, supporting the canopy even in the absence of light. The soil also changes its behavior at night. The surface cools, humidity increases, the activity of certain microorganisms intensifies. Invertebrates emerge to feed on newly deposited organic matter. Decomposition continues its silent rhythm. In dense forests, night tends to be darker. The canopy blocks much of the moonlight. In more open forests, the sky becomes more present. Stars appear between the crowns. Vertical space expands. This variation creates distinct nocturnal experiences, even within the same type of forest. In tropical regions, night arrives quickly. Day ends almost abruptly. Nocturnal activity begins early and extends for long hours. In temperate forests, the transition is slower, especially during summer, when twilight lingers. The ecosystem adjusts its rhythms to the length of the night. The nocturnal forest also reveals relationships that remain invisible during the day. Night pollinators, such as certain moths, visit flowers that open only after sunset. Ripe fruits are consumed by animals that avoid light. Seeds are dispersed beneath the cover of darkness. These discrete interactions sustain cycles that do not depend on human presence or visibility. At night, the wind usually moves more gently. The absence of solar heating reduces strong upward air currents. Air circulates slowly among the trunks. Leaves move less frequently. The sound environment stabilizes. This stability creates a predictable sensory field. In ancient forests, night feels even deeper. The complex canopy structure, thick trunks and soft soil absorb sound and light. Space becomes enveloping, almost closed. The outside world feels distant. Time there loses sharpness. For many human cultures, the nocturnal forest has always been a space of respect and contemplation. Not out of fear, but out of recognition of an environment that operates under different rules. At night, the forest does not reveal itself, it preserves itself. The absence of excessive stimuli forces the observer to lower expectations. Attention turns toward what is essential. Breathing, footsteps, continuous sounds. The body responds to this environment almost automatically. Heart rate tends to slow. Attention becomes diffuse. The state of alertness softens. The forest does not induce rest, it allows it. Even in total darkness, the ecosystem remains active. Chemical, biological, and physical processes continue on slow scales. Nothing is interrupted, it is only redistributed. Night is not a pause, it is a reorganization. When the sky brightens again and the first signs of light return, the forest will already have passed through a long sequence of silent events. Nocturnal life withdraws. Diurnal life resumes its place. The cycle continues. To think of the forest at night is to think of a system that trusts time, a system that does not need to be observed in order to function, that does not depend on visibility to exist. Perhaps that is why imagining a nocturnal forest evokes such a deep sense of calm. It represents a world that continues in silence, even when we are not paying attention to it. While we sleep, the forest remains, breathing slowly, sustaining invisible relationships, waiting for the light without haste. Long before any human construction, forests already fulfilled an essential function, offering shelter, not only as a physical space, but as an environment capable of protecting, buffering, and sustaining life over time. The forest does not offer shelter selectively. It provides refuge to everything that can adapt to its rhythm. Between trunks, roots, canopies, and layers of leaves, an intermediate space is formed between open sky and deep soil. A place where light is filtered, wind is softened, and extreme temperature variations lose intensity. This protected environment creates conditions for life to establish itself with greater stability. Shelter begins with structure. Trees function as natural pillars. Their trunks interrupt wind currents, reduce airspeed, and create zones of relative calm. Canopies intercept direct light, preventing excessive heating during the day and reducing heat loss at night. Covered soil absorbs impact, retains moisture, and keeps temperature more constant. The forest builds a microclimate. Within this space, life finds protection from extremes. Heavy rains reach the ground in fragmented form. Cold becomes less aggressive. Heat dissipates slowly. The forest does not eliminate natural variation, but it softens it. For countless animals, this environment is essential. Small mammals find shelter among exposed roots and fallen trunks. Birds use natural cavities in ancient trees for nesting. Insects take refuge beneath the leaf litter, protected from abrupt changes. Each layer of the forest offers a different kind of protection. In the soil, shelter is thermal and physical. Below the surface, temperature varies little throughout the day. Moisture is maintained. Sensitive organisms find stability. The soil functions as a silent shield, absorbing disturbances before they reach deeper layers. In the understory, shelter is visual and spatial. Dense vegetation creates hiding places, winding paths, and zones of low visibility. There, many animals avoid predators, build nests, or rest during periods of inactivity. In the canopy, shelter is elevated. Interlaced branches support nests, offer vantage points, and allow safe movement away from the ground. In mature forests, the canopy becomes a complete environment with a life of its own. The forest does not offer only physical shelter, it creates predictability. Predictable environments allow organisms to reduce energy expenditure. When conditions do not change abruptly, life does not need to remain constantly alert. This principle applies to both animals and plants. Understory plants, for example, depend on the stability of shade. They do not compete for direct light. They adjust to low and consistent levels of luminosity. This predictability allows slow, continuous growth. Likewise, animals that live in dense forests adapt their behaviors to an environment where stimuli are regular. Sounds repeat, scents persist, paths remain. Shelter is also temporal. Forests function as refuges across seasons. During periods of intense cold, many species find natural protection within forests. During droughts, shaded soil retains moisture for longer. In storms, vegetation structure reduces impact. Even on geological timescales, forests act as refuges. Across eras marked by climatic change, certain forested regions served as areas of persistence, where species managed to survive while other environments became hostile. These ecological refugees ensured continuity. The forest also offers shelter for regeneration. After natural disturbances, tree falls, low-intensity fires, strong winds, the forest environment creates conditions for life to return. Seeds protected in the soil germinate. Shoots emerge in the shade of remaining trees. The system reorganizes itself. Nothing needs to be rebuilt from zero. This regenerative character reinforces the forest's function as long-term shelter, not only for individuals, but for processes. The cycle of life finds there a space where interruptions do not mean an end, only transition. For human beings, the forest has always represented shelter in multiple ways. Historically, it offered protection from the elements, provided food, materials, and safe paths. But beyond practical utility, the forest also acted as a sensory refuge. Forest environments reduce aggressive stimuli. Light is not direct. Sounds are continuous, not abrupt. Forms are irregular, organic. The human body responds to these patterns with reduced tension. The forest creates a space where the nervous system can relax. This effect does not depend on belief or expectation. It emerges from the organization of the environment itself. Studies show that natural spaces structured in predictable ways and without excessive visual or auditory stimuli favor states of calm and diffuse attention. In this sense, the forest does not impose rest. It allows rest to occur. There is also a subtler kind of shelter from fragmentation. In continuous forests, ecological processes are not frequently interrupted. Relationships between species are maintained. Cycles follow their course. This continuity creates a sense of wholeness. Something remains intact, even as parts change. Ancient forests in particular carry this sense of permanence. Their thick trunks, deep soil, and structural complexity communicate stability, not a rigid stability, but an adaptive one. Time there does not feel urgent. Walking through a mature forest, the body perceives this continuity. The space does not demand rapid responses. There are no excessive signals, no commands. Attention can expand without rigid focus. This kind of shelter is rare in the modern world. The forest does not protect only from climate or predators. It protects from excess, from constant noise, from continuous acceleration, from the fragmentation of time. Within it, life finds space simply to exist. Even when the forest is not physically present, the idea of shelter it represents remains powerful. To think of a forest is to imagine a place where slow processes are valued, where growth happens without haste, and where continuity matters more than speed. The forest teaches that to protect is not to isolate, but to buffer. That to shelter is not to control, but to sustain. As trees continue to grow, leaves continue to fall, and the soil continues to transform what it receives, the forest maintains its essential function: to offer refuge, to create protection, to guarantee continuity. It does not promise absolute permanence, but it offers enough time for life to reorganize, and perhaps that is what makes the forest one of the oldest and most reliable shelters on the planet, a space where life finds not only survival, but sufficient stability to rest between cycles. And now, as this journey begins to come to an end, allow this feeling of tranquility to remain with you. A gentle reminder that the world still holds places where everything happens slowly, where cycles follow their natural rhythm, and where mystery does not frighten, it only soothes. If these moments of silent discovery have brought comfort, know that your presence here is part of this space. A simple gesture, such as leaving a like, subscribing to the channel, or sharing a peaceful thought in the comments, helps other people find this same refuge. One calm mind at a time. You are always welcome to return, whether to explore new themes or simply to rest in the company of gentle ideas and stories that do not demand haste. But for now, there is nothing that needs to be done. Let your breathing slow down. Feel the weight of your body being embraced by rest. Allow your thoughts to become more spaced out, like leaves resting on the forest floor. May the gentle rhythm of nature accompany you into sleep. May the night be calm, and may rest arrive naturally. Good night.